In comics, there's always a great what-if story waiting to be told. That said, alternate universe storylines tend to serve as big multi-issue events. The movies of your favorite DC Comics characters also have some cutscenes that, if left in, would have changed our perceptions of the character. Here are 20 deleted scenes that would have given us an alternate version of DC movies. Suicide Squad was the first comic book movie to mash up all the bad guys into a singular fighting force. It was a shame much of the Joker's content ended up on the cutting room floor. In one scene, when an explosive didn't kill a security officer, the Joker decided to use his bare hands to neutralize the guard. Elsewhere, the Joker and Harley Quinn reveal they collect watches from their victims, showing us the full magnitude of the kill list, and making them just a little less sympathetic than they already weren't. Another DC Comics mainstay, Lois Lane, also got the short end of the trident in the DCEU. In Batman v Superman, she may have figured into some key action sequences, but her character happened to conveniently show up whenever she was needed. In Zack Snyder's original cut, Lois spends more time in Nairobi, and we actually get to see her meeting Jimmy Olsen, before the iconic character is quickly taken out. We get to see a bit of journalistic prowess when she maneuvers through her conversation with a Nairobi general. Plus, it's nice to see that Lois can take care of herself, before Superman comes to the rescue. In Suicide Squad, the Joker, always his own man and always full of surprises, was rumored to have a separate scene with the Enchantress. In this moment, one that didn't make the final cut of the film, the Joker reportedly met with the Enchantress and offered his services in exchange for being granted the role of Gotham's sovereign ruler. Showing some compassion for his on-again off-again girlfriend Harley Quinn, the Joker offered this deal to her. Surprisingly, Harley refused, feeling loyalty to the Suicide Squad. For an unstable villain like Harley, it was a level of empathy that may not have felt entirely in character. While it isn't part of the current DCEU continuity, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy remains a triumph of superhero filmmaking. That said, deleted scenes from Dark Knight Rises may have cleared up some plot holes from that installment, including Bane's backstory. Nolan obviously preferred to shroud the character in the shadows and limit his background to a couple of quick flashes. However, more flashbacks were filmed, including glimpses of earlier, more primitive versions of his mask, and footage of how he got his start with Ra's al Ghul's League of Shadows. Another recent but pre-DCEU film, Superman Returns, did decent at the box office, but has an incredibly divided reputation. One sequence that probably divided the creative team was Superman's return to Krypton. Kal-El left Earth for 5 years so he could return to his homeworld and confirm whether it was truly destroyed. In a crystalline spaceship, Superman came across the shards of Krypton, only to be subdued by the planet's now kryptonite debris. This is why, upon returning to Earth early in the theatrical cut of the film, he's in such a weakened state. Steppenwolf was the main baddie in Justice League, but he could have made his appearance in an earlier film. A deleted scene from Batman v Superman centers around Luthor and foreshadows the events to come. In the scene, commandos trot through a Kryptonian ship with guns drawn. They come upon an opening, and within the opening, they see Luthor facing an imposing figure, who we now know as Steppenwolf. This moment would have given us a teaser of Justice League's MacGuffin. Taking a break from the Snyderverse, let's dive backward to a simpler time, when villains were cartoony and the Dark Knight wasn't taken so seriously in Batman Forever. After the sequence where Two-Face and the Riddler's forces storm Wayne Manor, there once was a scene in which Bruce Wayne, shot during the altercation, forgets he's Batman. In a dreamlike state, Bruce imagines a life without Batman, and it takes a reminder from his loyal servant Alfred to bring Bruce back to reality. Once he's back in the Batcave, Wayne reads a diary. He also faces a giant imaginary bat before his amnesia fades and he can don the over-stylized batsuit once more. If Cyborg ever gets his own movie, maybe they can add this scene back in. Originally filmed for Justice League, this sequence followed Cyborg's pre-crime fighting life, before his father resurrected him Darth Vader style as a man and machine hybrid. In these short scenes, we would have witnessed Cyborg's early career as a talented football player. Although there wasn't much room for it in the finished film, its inclusion might have made us care more about the character. Batman may be the world's greatest detective, but Batman v Superman originally featured more of Superman doing his own research. Snooperman, as we're gonna call him this one time only, goes to Gotham under the guise of covering a football game as his journalist alter ego Clark Kent. While in Gotham, Kent learns about Batman's unmerciful vigilante streak from witnesses. This fires up Clark Kent/Superman and his need to bring Batman to justice. In The Dark Knight Rises, Matthew Modine lent his talents in the supporting role of Foley, Gordon's second-in-command. Foley was a foil for Batman and was built throughout the film as someone who ultimately grew to appreciate the need for Batman in the fight against Bane. Then he met an unceremonious end, appearing to die off-screen. In a deleted scene, however, Foley was to be run over by one of the repainted tumblers. While not necessarily as memorable a death as one would hope for, it at least shows him bravely standing in the way of those threatening the free people of Gotham. No one seems more aware of the negative reviews of 2011's Green Lantern than Ryan Reynolds. But we're all more than willing to give the Green Lantern another shot, and apparently so is the DCEU. In a deleted post-credits scene from Justice League, Tomar-Ray and Kilowog paid Batman a visit. Since Tomar-Ray and Kilowog are members of the Green Lantern Corps, these two characters set up the inclusion of that intergalactic force in future DCEU movies. Batman Returns is so incredibly over the top, and yet it's a perfect capper for Tim Burton's tenure as Bat director. Fortunately, there was one scene that Burton found to be too much and cut from the theatrical release of the film. In this version of Batman, the masked vigilante has enough of a cult following to warrant a gift shop full of Bat merchandise. However, an arcade game in the store, obviously a Batman arcade game from our own universe, includes a picture of Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne on the outside of the box. This would have stuck out like a sore thumb in the finished movie, since it would have indicated that some video game manufacturer knew of Batman's secret identity. The DCEU has been criticized for its dark and morose take on the Superman character. This deleted scene from Batman v Superman likely wouldn't have changed that perception. According to Zack Snyder, there was a filmed scene that showed Superman searching for Martha Kent. During his search, we, the audience, hear the cries for help coming from all over Metropolis. It's what Superman probably hears on a daily basis, but he needs to single out the voice of his adoptive mother in order to rescue her. The Mother Boxes were the MacGuffin of the Justice League movie, and while these artifacts may seem like standalone additions to DCEU lore, they were originally supposed to be introduced much sooner. The end of Wonder Woman was written to include a scene in which Etta Candy describes a mission to nab a priceless piece of history from deep within Europe. Illustrated on a piece of paper, we see Etta's talking about recovering a Mother Box. Superman 2 set the stage for how big-budget superhero action sequences were presented. In a cutscene, we would have seen more cinematic fireworks as the Kryptonian villains, Zod, Non, and Ursa, attempted to enter Superman's Fortress of Solitude. It shows us that the fortress doesn't have an open-door policy, and its Kryptonian defense system initially gives Zod an electric shock. It takes the combined strength of all three villains to break into Superman's North Pole home base. We know why Bruce Wayne is Batman, but do we know why Harley Quinn is a Batwoman? No, literally, why does she wield a bat in Suicide Squad? Well, according to a deleted scene, likely cut because of the Joker's brutality, the Clown Prince of Crime is shown escaping from Arkham Asylum with a baseball bat in hand. This same bat is the one Harley uses throughout the film's present-day sequences. With this in mind, we can assume that the bat is a token of the Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship. Superman 4 is rightfully considered one of the goofiest superhero stories ever put to film, but there were some potentially iconic moments that hit the cutting room floor. One of these includes Clark Kent's visit to the Smallville farm, now with a for sale sign by the front. He checks on the shell of his spaceship stored beneath the family farmhouse and meets with a realtor who seems to know the Kents from way back. It's a bit of nostalgia that elevates an otherwise clunky movie. Similar to how we never got to see more of Cyborg's backstory in Justice League, we also missed out on more of Barry Allen. In this deleted sequence, we would have seen the Flash use his finger to break through the window of a restaurant. Once outside, he rushes into an intersection and catches a woman thrown from her flipping car. The woman who he intercepts mid-air is revealed to be Iris West. Comic book fans may recognize the name as that of Barry Allen's wife. Surprise! Here's one more moment from Superman 4. This scene takes one of the few opportunities in the entire Christopher Reeve canon to show Superman in a state of absolute physical weakness. Superman suffers from radiation sickness after his encounter with Nuclear Man. Obviously, the Man of Steel recovers, but for this short scene, we're given a glimpse of what a sickly Clark Kent might look like. It's basically Christopher Reeve's interpretation of Death of Superman, where instead of Doomsday, Kal-El fights frail bones. In DC Comics, Darkseid is one of Superman's greatest foes and one of the biggest threats the world has ever seen. While no films have capitalized on his presence, we almost received an introduction to the character in Justice League. There, Steppenwolf would have been shown returning to Darkseid to atone for his botched mission. Darkseid then would have decimated Steppenwolf and revealed his plans to visit Earth himself. So, now that you've seen our list, are there any other deleted scenes worth mentioning? Are there any clips that would have made the cut in your own fan edit of the perfect Superman, Batman, or Justice League film? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to ScreenRant to find more videos like this one. We'll always be around to talk about the moments that make up your favorite movies, whether they're in the film or on the cutting room floor. See you soon!